backing up. Talking trash, better back it up. I'ma make my money while they laugh at us.
What is going on? You're tuning into Inventing Entrepreneurs, a show where we bring on emerging entrepreneurs to talk about them inventing their vision of success. I'm your host. We have an empty table today, no more mics, just one. Joined by my co-host, John.
What's up, John? Don't call me Mustache, John. Joined here by the lovely gentlemen from Thimble, co-founders Dave Brenner and Oscar. Pronounce your last name for me again.
Pedroso.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us, guys. It's a pleasure. Thanks for making the way out here.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Sweet. You know, I looked a little bit about your product, your website, stuff like that. Looks freaking sweet.
It's really, really good.
It's cool. Website. And I'm even more excited that you guys brought a box to show us because,
Definitely.
you know, then our viewers will also be able to see it on the video. Kind of give us a little bit of background about it.
Yeah, definitely. Well, so Thimble is a monthly subscription, so we teach kids and adults how to build hardware and program it. So if you want to build your first robot or first electronics device, we teach you how to do that from start to finish, and then we teach you how to program it, and you don't have to have any experience. So every month is a different project you receive in the mail, and then all the instructions and tutorials are on our website.
So is there separate packages for different ages? So someone from like 4 to 6 or, you know, someone that's in high school?
Yeah, it's for ages 13 and up.
Okay.
Sometimes we'll get kids as young as 6 that work alongside a parent or a teacher. But we've had people of all ages use the product, but it's made for kids.
So after, is there like is this like the base right here? This is like a box that you would get for your first subscription?
We have it. This one's actually one of the previous kits that we delivered last year,
nice.
which is a video game controller.
Crack that shit open. Let's see what's in there.
Yeah. So you have like a circuit board. So our new kits are all built on the same base kit, like you were kind of saying.
Yeah.
So this is one of the old ones where you solder it together. So this is you put it together and then you can make a little RGB game controller. You can play Pong on it, or you can hook it up to your laptop and then use it as a game controller.
It has an LCD screen on it?
Yeah, it has a little LED.
Or LED?
RGB LED screen.
I want to know what's your background? What are both your guys' backgrounds to get this started? Because I mean, it seems like you have to have a lot of experience. Yeah, right.
So I think I went to school not too far from here, University of Rochester. Studied math and economics. Worked in healthcare for a little bit, but then landed in higher education. So I was working in college admissions, and that's where I really got inspired to do a lot of this. Started my own tutoring company. Did a little bit of application consulting, mentored robotics since I was involved in high school with First Robotics. And then from there, started a previous startup that was in the education space, and that pivoted to Thimble when David came on board.
Cool.
So is it just you two that are the co-founders, or is there anyone else?
Just the two of us, and then we have 4 employees.
So what made you want to start this? There had to be some sort of reason, right?
Yeah, we have we have different perspectives, but so my background, so when I was in high school, I didn't even know what engineering was.
Yeah.
And I'm also, first generation college grad and entrepreneur. My mom still thinks I'm crazy that I'm starting a business, but while I was working at the University of Rochester as an admission officer, I noticed that there was all these students that we were working with that built amazing projects. They were building rovers, they were building drones, all different types of gadgets, and it occurred to me that while I was there that there's this whole world out there that wants to do all of this, but they don't have a way to.
Right.
There isn't anything that's making it accessible for them
there's
to
no
do
one
so.
that's teaching them how to do it either.
Right.
Because I mean, you're putting it all in one thing. You don't have I don't think there's anything else that you can really do something like this. I mean, you can buy an Arduino board, but you have to know what you want to do. There's no kit that comes with it.
And I mean, if you could say the word Arduino to a beginner and they'll be like, what?
Right, I never heard of it. Right? Dave, what's your background in?
So I graduated with a degree in computer engineering from RIT, Rochester Institute of Technology.
Is that where you guys met in Rochester, or you meet up?
No, we ended up meeting in Buffalo through the internet.
Sweet.
Yeah.
That's
Hacker
crazy.
News.
Cool.
So
I want to get into that. Sweet.
Yeah, I'll kind of fill in my background really briefly. So I went to RIT. My first internship was at AMD, Advanced Micro Devices, the processor company in Austin, Texas. I was doing like verification of CPU designs. Then I worked for Intel under Ken Shoemaker. He was the one of the senior architects for the Pentium 4. So it was kind of amazing working with him and learning all about like where to put something in terms of functionality of a computer system in the hierarchy of like firmware or software or hardware on the processor or the coprocessor or whatever. And then I worked for IBM and kind of got sick of that whole world of like, have you guys seen the movie Office Space?
Yeah.
There's that scene where he's like, I have 7 bosses. I just try to make them, try to avoid them and make sure they don't talk to me.
Right. Your whole day is just dodging your work.
Yeah, kind of what IBM
sucks that corporate
started to turn into. Like I worked with some really great, really genius people there, but the bureaucracy of it was kind of a bit much.
Yeah.
So I went back to grad school, and that's when I saw on Hacker News that Oscar. First of all, that there were startups in Buffalo. I didn't even know that existed. And
it's surprisingly like a big, small community.
Yeah,
it's very weird. I mean, I don't think it's a big community, but you don't see it. It's all hidden behind the scenes.
But once you get in, everybody knows the same names, same people.
It's like we'll talk like on the podcast, like, oh, you had this person on. You know them? I know them. Everyone knows each other.
Nice. We got to start broadcasting out of Buffalo. If you're out of Buffalo, talk to us. We'll get you here.
Yeah.
Well, we'll work something out.
So I guess you guys, I want to talk more about subscription service. So you started off as a subscription service, or did you mold into that?
Yeah, we kind of started with that as an idea. So when I was in college, I would be building all these projects, and a lot of my friends were really smart computer scientists. So they'd see me tinkering with this stuff and be like, oh, that's so cool. You can make your blinds open or whatever it was, and they're like, I could never do that. I don't understand. Like for some reason they were intimidated by hardware, even though they're way smarter than I was with software stuff. So that kind of identified the problem of like, there's still the maker movement is all about accessibility and all that kind of stuff, like let's get people building stuff, but there was still something missing that felt intimidating about it. So that's where we kind of started. So when I met Oscar, he had this other company that he was working on, and they were selling to universities, and that wasn't going so well because the sales cycle was so long.
Hold on, what is it? Name it.
It was called GradFly.
Oh, okay, dang. I thought it was in Rohan's business. Had a lot like Rohan.
who I know well, actually. Yeah. Up on your wall over here. Yeah.
Yeah, so we started talking about different ideas, and I was like, well, I've always kind of wanted to make this, maker space in a box was kind of like one of the original ideas, and also just talking about the subscription service idea was because subscription services were very popular, and it also kind of lends itself to a curriculum. So
and
like when you
coming back too.
Right, yeah. So when you go to school, you go for semesters lengths of courses that build up on that knowledge. So we were kind of trying to go with that same methodology for the subscription.
And the beauty of that too is our subscribers get one box, and then the next box they're able to work off of the previous one and build on
keep building, cool. So they can make their own projects from that stuff.
Yep.
So like they learn the basics from the kit you send, and then they can build off that and combine things together.
Right.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
And so we graduate them to different levels of difficulty over time, and then at some point we introduce soldering, we introduce more advanced programming, and then eventually, hopefully what you've learned, you can be as creative as you'd like. And
So when you have a new person sign up, is there a curriculum that they follow? So every person will have the first kit this month, the second kit this month?
Yes.
Or is it whatever you have for the month? So it is that, okay.
Well, we didn't start that way. Originally it was whatever was being delivered that month, which scaled on the intermediate to advanced level. And through customer feedback, we realized that people loved the projects, but they were bombarded by the assembly, the programming, and the soldering all in one. So we took a step back to come up with a curriculum where we could start off beginners from ground zero, and then we teach you the fundamentals, theory, systems, how everything works, why it works, and then we build you up from there.
Wow.
I love it. I think that's really cool, and subscription's the way to go. What do you guys vision this kind of growing into? And you're really great right now what you guys are doing. But you only said you're 2.5 years into it or something like that.
Yeah.
What are your next steps?
Well, I mean, the vision for us, I guess it's important to know how things stand today. Like we work very closely locally with the Boys and Girls Club and other different types of organizations where we walk into a room where people have never picked up a soldering iron before. Right. They've never heard of engineering. They don't know how to code, period. So imagine all of these kids 10, 15, 20 years from now, they have learned these skills, hopefully through either this or some other mechanism, but...
And they build on those skills like without even realizing it. So they may learn something here, and then they apply it to other stuff, and that's how they they really grow.
Yes.
I mean, that happened to me with my life. I feel like I've had a lot of exposure at a young age, and I was able to build on that. But if I didn't have that one exposure, I probably wouldn't have built on it.
How do you guys go about your marketing? How do you guys get the name out? I see you have the Kickstarter video. One, I want to know, were you guys successful on it?
We were.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Major
How much did
key.
you ask for? The Kickstarter, you said?
Yeah.
How much did you ask for?
Our original goal was $25,000. Dave and I thought, okay, let's sell 500 units. That was our big goal.
Right.
And then we ended up surpassing that by 1,200%. So we ended up raising
Sweet.
just shy of $300,000.
Awesome. What do you think was the major contributor? Because I'm sure, now it's so easy to kind of get out there, get a Kickstarter, stuff like that, but most of them fail. What do you think was your engagement with the people? What was the key to it?
I wouldn't say it was just one thing. It was a variety of factors.
Give us something.
It was a 6-month process. Like we
we planned a lot. So Dan Giganti, I don't know if you guys know him. His business is
19
Ideas and the 26 shirts. If you've seen that one.
Okay.
So we with everything, kind of go out and talk to all your mentors and be like, all right, what's the right way here? And Dan had run a couple of Kickstarters before, so his advice was, it's almost divided into 2 campaigns. So you have the campaign before the campaign, where you're collecting email addresses of people that might be interested in this idea. So the day you launch, because a Kickstarter, it's so easy to make. You're not going to be a news story just by having a Kickstarter,
Exactly.
right? But if you reach your goal within 24 or 48 hours or a week or something,
right,
and then start to exceed your goal, then it becomes newsworthy because people are like, oh, wow, these kids were only asking for $5,000 and now they have 100,000 or whatever it is.
It looks better.
Yep. So that was the first kind of thing that we started working on. We also spent a long time on the script for the video.
Yeah.
And even longer recording the video, it feels like.
It's a lot harder than it looks. 'Cause
Right?
I did a Kickstarter, I failed on it, but it's, you think I'll just jump in the camera, talk for a minute, I'm good. A whole day later, you're like, all right, I said the same thing about 3,000 times, I still don't think it's right.
Yeah, I had spoken to quite a few Kickstarter creators who had started their campaigns and been successful. And they always came back to the video as being the starting point.
Right.
I mean, there's so many other things you have to worry about, but the video was definitely one of those keystones. It had to be emotional. It had to quickly describe what you did and why you were doing it. And it had to be high quality as well, to some extent.
So what advice do you have for anyone trying to start a Kickstarter? I know video you said is number one. What else would you suggest? Any key points for people that are listening that are looking to start a Kickstarter? What they should do?
Make sure that you're using Kickstarter for the right reasons. So it's really good for proving that an audience exists, and that's what you should be using it for. Yeah. Hopefully you've done some validation of your idea before that, but that's what it's for. So for us, we posted onto Reddit a month after we had the idea and put together a basic landing page and said, what do you guys think of this? And that was our way to generate a bunch of emails for our mailing list for our Kickstarter campaign.
Never thought of Reddit.
I hear Reddit all the time. I tried using it, but I feel like you have to know how to use it. I've been told that you can be spammy and people don't like that. They pick up on it and then you get kicked off the site.
You guys familiar Redditors?
Yeah.
Because Reddit is a community in its own.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of like an online forum for everything, and then they have they call them subreddits.
Things off of that are legal.
That's good
Baseball
though,
games.
I feel like when we were going to do the Kickstarter, we wanted to do the Reddit thing, and we were just going to do it while the Kickstarter was going, and you're selling it, so that doesn't look good. But what you did,
when you asked
ahead of time asking for feedback, you weren't selling it, and then people that are interested, you get their emails, and then a month or two later, it's not like you're trying to sell them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it was actually, that was the first time we'd ever done some sort of customer discovery and validation.
Yeah.
And it was pretty, what we put out there on Reddit was genuine. We were really just legitimately asking, what do you guys think of this? And then, the spew of comments, negative and positive, were coming in. People loved the idea. Others were giving us ideas about price, what they thought the price could be.
Right. There's a lot of engagement. What forum did you guys post that to? Or multiple ones, or was it
I think we posted to both the Arduino and the electronics subreddits. Yeah.
Cool. Wow. And this seems they're pretty general forums, right? And it just picked up like that.
Yeah. Actually, David has. I think it's still out there. The post you put together on how to successfully write a post for feedback.
Yeah.
On there.
Well,
cool.
It's just one kind of funny oddity about the Reddit community. So we first posted a link right to our website, and that got like almost no engagement. Then I took a screenshot of the website and posted a link to that, and that got a shit ton of engagement. And I think it's just because of the nature of the platform.
Yeah.
You know, when you're scrolling through,
Right,
see a bunch of headlines, you're not going to want to click off the site, but you'll open up an image because it's super easy to consume that. And then if you're interested, then you'll read more about it.
So once you got your market validation, right? I mean, what next? Do you like say, okay, well now I know my idea is valid, I'll start selling it, or do you try to use that for investors? What did you do with your market validation?
Well, it didn't end with the Reddit post. We went and
Kickstarter too.
Yeah,
Kickstarter too,
Kickstarter, I'd say it was the Reddit post, and then we started going to actual events like maker fairs. We went to I don't know if you're familiar with maker fairs, but there's
I got an idea.
We went to the one in New York City through a program that we got into called Next Top Makers, and we spent 2 days there, and we met our target customer, which was at the time, well, I guess it still is, hobbyists / parents, and they would come up to the booth. We had no product. We were just selling the idea, and we had people come to the table who were ready to drop their credit card.
Really?
And we're like, we don't have
What type of
this yet.
materials did you bring to that, without having the product? What did you, I mean, you sell mine the idea, but like, how did you go about that?
We had, David had created a prototype at the
Yeah,
point.
we had the first 2 product ideas. So I had like those functioning as like a prototype on the table, and then we had postcards,
which was the Wi-Fi robot, right?
Right, yeah.
And then did we have the cube too? I don't remember if we had the cube.
I think so. I'm not positive on that. Yeah, no, we did because there's that photo.
Oh yeah, you're right.
I love
yeah.
those jokes.
So you like once you had the market validation, what did you do though after that? Like did you start selling right away, or did you try to get an investor?
No, I mean we didn't go after investment at all. We went after a couple of grants that we received successfully, but
You did get them?
between the customer validation, it was then prepping for the Kickstarter.
Okay.
Which that was a big decision for us too, because we were like, we had this email list of probably about 1,000 people.
Wow.
We were like, do we launch a private beta with this select group of people that are already on board with our vision, or do we go all out and go on Kickstarter and try to
Right.
go all out? Yeah, go all out there. So it ended up being the Kickstarter, and so we spent the remaining months of 2015 prepping for the Kickstarter.
And then what after the Kickstarter? Just fulfilling orders?
Well, after the Kickstarter was 60 days, and we spent most of 2016 manufacturing, sourcing everything, packaging, figuring out the brand.
Do you guys make everything yourself, or do you outsource it?
We outsource it. We outsource some of it, I guess.
Yeah, we design everything and then we contract the manufacturing.
Yeah.
U.S. or you go out?
Outside the U.S. Yeah.
I figured that. Yeah, it's not something that would be cheap in the U.S.
No, we tried locally too.
I tried,
try to source everything
On
here.
a ton
but
of products.
It's good to try.
It's just impossible. You can't compete with anyone.
No.
Yeah, there's some vendors that we use that do actually compete on price. Like our foam manufacturer is able to match what our Chinese manufacturer charges us, but
That's cool.
a lot of it is.
I love the packaging. Me and Brian both always use orange with pretty much all of our businesses. It's just like an abstract color that other people use. Do you guys have any thought behind that? You guys just like orange?
I don't even remember why we chose orange.
Just fit.
It just fit.
No one uses orange, but
I remember yellow being a contender, but we ended up going with orange. Everything else, I mean, I think we were trying to get away from the blue that Facebook and Twitter were using.
Even everybody.
Yeah. So,
there are too many psychology business articles.
Yeah, and we also wanted to be approachable in a sense where we want parents to.
Right. It's more fun.
Yeah. Fun. Education, we want it to be something vibrant that people can see and like, oh wow, what's this?
So what do you guys think? You've had some success. You guys are going in a good direction, trending well. What do you think credited to? What if something you guys have personally done as founders to move your move your business forward? If there was maybe like one turning point or like a decision that was like made everything go.
I think for me, we got into an accelerator out in Colorado. It's called Telluride Venture Accelerator in Telluride, Colorado, which is about 5 hours southwest of Denver. And we spent 4 months there. We were able to. So the managing director of the program was formerly at Techstars. So he took everything he had learned from Techstars and applied it to this accelerator. there were 8 companies from all over the world that came together for 4 months, and then at the end of this program, it concludes with a demo day, so you get to pitch your idea, and then the room's pretty much packed with investors. So I was able to raise a seed round there, and that really, this was after the Kickstarter, but it helped fueled bringing on actual people to help us.
So that was a good decision then getting into that.
Yeah, because it really was just me and David up until September. And for the type of business we want to grow, it has to be more than just me and him.
Right.
Yeah, we need someone.
You guys like package it yourselves?
Right now we do. We still do. Yeah.
You guys have an office, or you do it out of the house? Like, how do you guys work your space?
We have an office space at the Great Arrow Building.
Oh, okay, cool.
Which is right
there. Downtown? Yeah,
it's right. It's a little north of downtown, but it's right by the Amherst Street Wegmans. If you're familiar with that area.
Okay. Yeah. It's pretty cool.
I live like 3 minutes from there.
But that's been great because when we were at the co-working space at the Innovation Center, we were operating at about 200 square feet.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
I think I almost fell. Well, I definitely fell.
It's like working in one of those miniature kitchens where you guys are just back to back.
Yeah. I gave up my desk at one point, but now we have enough space for people and inventory, which is a big thing.
And how many employees you guys said you had?
We're 6 total, so 4.
That's awesome. You guys are doing pretty good. For 2.5 years, really good.
Thanks. Sometimes it doesn't feel that way. But.
Yeah. Well, you always want it to be more than it is. You always want to be at that next step.
Yeah.
And every slow day, it feels long, it feels hard, you grind through it, and then the next day is way better.
Yes.
Yeah. What about so I want to go back to subscription. So do you find a lot of people are just doing like a month and then stopping, or doing 2 or 3 months and stopping?
Yeah, what do you do for retention?
Yeah.
Obviously engaging stuff.
I've always wondered with subscription, because obviously the people that subscribe, that you kind of base your budget off that.
Yeah, so that's something that we'll always continue to learn about, like how long people. Obviously, our end goal is to get people, and now with this curriculum, especially,
I think that's
it lends
huge.
itself to people starting from a certain point, and then
because they see that there's an end goal. Like, okay, I just grow and keep going to that.
Exactly. Yes, but we also have an understanding that not everyone's gung ho about a subscription, so we do allow people to buy a product one off, which is the very first one.
Right.
I think I saw that. I think you had 3 different packages when I looked. Right. Yeah. You could buy one, and then there was, I forget this.
There's a lower price one off, and then 2 options for the subscription.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How'd you guys work out pricing? What do you guys charge per month for?
Currently, so it used to be $60 to $90 a month, depending on what tier you chose. Now it's just a standard $50 a month.
Cool, that's very reasonable.
You're paying a little extra your first month for the Arduino that you get, but then after that it's just a flat $50.
What is this Arduino?
So actually, the 3D printers, all the ones I use upstairs, all use Arduinos. It's just like a board that you can program with, or you can. Well, you can program it, right?
Yeah, it's a microcontroller, so it's basically a computer, just a little bit simpler.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
So every 3D printer out there has an Arduino board in it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I like it. You mind if I open it up, guys?
Of course.
I want to go through it. How did you guys come up with so are there different kinds? Like this one's the controller. What else can they build without giving away too much information on it?
Yeah.
What else can they get?
Robots. So we just, like I said, we just moved to this starter, what we call it, the creator set. So with that one, we have 12 different projects that you can build with just those parts. It's
using
an
all
intruder
the same
detector,
parts?
kitchen alarm, or kitchen timer, a little robot thing, all sorts of different stuff.
Yeah, Simon Says game.
Nice.
We have a weather station kit, a bunch of different stuff.
You should include design files for someone to make a case for that. They could 3D print it.
Yeah, we do. So all of our designs are open source. We give you the schematics and the PCB design, the board design.
You can just print out the case for it.
For sure.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
I'm a fan. So you guys thinking it's 13 plus, right? Are you thinking, initially you said, looking to educate, go towards parents, stuff like that. Are you finding that kids themselves are getting interested in it? Are you targeting, children when you go out there? Because you did that. Where did you guys meet? You met at that invention convention, right? Mm-hmm. So obviously you're trying to engage the kids there, get them playing with it. What's your kind of strategy with targeting people?
Yeah, usually the buy-in comes from parents. If the kids see the projects on our table, they're like, I want to build that. Especially if they're engaged, we have this little flashy LED cube that's flashes in all different patterns, and once you realize...
I've seen that. You were at the Buffalo Museum of Science probably like 2 or 3 months ago, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, for I want to say Kids Day or Engineering.
Yeah, it was a World Engineering Day.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, I was there for that too.
Cool.
Yeah, that's what I saw you guys a long time ago.
Yeah, so we usually try to suck the kids in that way with cool games and
Yeah.
cool little projects at the table. And the parents, obviously, when they see us,
Mhm.
they either want to spend more time with their kids because they're super busy, or they want to get their kids ahead of the curve in school, like,
Mhm.
and then getting them interested
It's the future.
in a career in science and technology. Exactly.
Right.
So from that standpoint, that's usually
Right.
what draws people in.
So does that require soldering?
This
This
kit
one
does, but all of our new stuff doesn't.
So do you sell a kit with it for the soldering? Like have
Yeah.
on your website that you can buy the soldering?
Yeah, we have a tool kit that we sell for $120.
That's cool.
That
Just
has
an
like,
add-on and with everything.
yeah, it's got screwdriver and all sorts of precision
Yeah.
screwdriver, all that kind of stuff.
Originally, people were asking us what tools to buy,
Right.
and we send them to elsewhere,
then
Amazon,
have,
probably,
like, you
eBay,
will-
all these kits.
Yeah.
And then finally, we were like, why don't we just create our own tool set? And so we
Right.
ended up doing that.
Yeah, that's another way to make money.
Yep. Yeah.
But
You have any final advice, anything for our viewers? Where can they check you out? We want to know. Find out more information about you guys, and then any final remarks, advice to help our viewers kind of project their own businesses.
anything
Yeah.
about business.
Yeah.
One quote that I always liked is like the simple formula for all business is say what you're going to do, then do it, and then tell people that you did it.
For sure.
And I think that like the more I've been in it, the more I realize that's super true.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't have a tendency to brag about myself or anything like that, but that's a very important part of business.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So you got to
So people know
kind
what
of get
you're
it.
about.
Exactly, you got to get over that, and
Or just get the news to do it for you.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Find some way to get some press and
Mm.
some attention.
Yeah, for me, I would say I think it's important. This could easily blend in with however many hundreds of educational products are out there.
Mhm.
But I think what's really important is that everyone has their own story. Like we have a story to tell, and when you infuse that with the product, I think it resonates with a lot of people.
Mhm.
So I'd say if you're starting a business, then don't or make sure that you're adding in that story. Whatever inspired you to pursue the idea, then make sure you tell that story because that counts.
Goes to the Kickstarter idea of getting people emotional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you have any advice, or let's say someone's trying to start a subscription company, do you have any advice for them?
Right, because it's an interesting space now.
Anything
It's
that-
kind of growing.
You would stay away from?
Well, if you look at like the most successful subscription businesses, there's stuff that you basically need every day, like a razor. There's
Dollar Shave Club, yeah.
Dollar Shave Club and Harry's and a bunch of others. And the reason that that's so successful is because, it's something you're going to subscribe to.
And you're going to need it every day. You're never going to not need it.
Yep.
And it saves you a trip to the store.
Yeah. So that model is the perfect model for a subscription business. So something like an educational product, there's a fit there for sure, but it's not,
Lifetime.
like we're not going to keep a customer for, 50 years or something that
Yeah.
Right.
Dollar Shave Club or Harry's may potentially do. So that's something to kind of keep in mind.
I'd say if you're going to start a subscription company, though, you want to talk to as many people as possible, especially those people who sign up for either your email list or who end up buying from you. And we're getting into a rhythm now where we're talking to 2 to 3 customers per week. And we survey customers every month because we always want to hear how we're doing.
Right.
And we're always pushing to hear the bad stuff because that's the stuff we really want to hear so we can become better and better.
Right.
So you make sure you don't do it again.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And be super cool about it too. Like if sometimes we get nasty emails from people and I have to just walk away for a little bit, come back and sit down and just respond calmly and be like, you know what, you're right. Or, even if they're not 100% correct,
Right.
I still have to meet them halfway because whatever we did
Because
didn't
if you
make them
don't
happy.
solve their problem to at least acknowledge that they're right, they're going to go
Yeah.
out and tell everyone, don't buy
Yeah,
this kit.
seriously, yeah, that's what I'm afraid of too. Is I don't want this person to go out there and talk to 20 people and say shit about
Yeah,
us. And that's
exactly.
what you want. You don't want that at all.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's easier to say than it is to practice, but that kind of relates back to the product design too. Like if someone fails at building this, I can figure out why it was their fault, or I can be like more empathetic and say like, okay, something I screwed up, right? Like something in the instructions wasn't clear, something in the thing wasn't clear.
In the end, it goes back to you because you didn't make it easy enough or clear enough for them.
Yeah.
So even though they did mess up, it is their fault. I feel like that's
So you gotta
It kind of relates back to a big principle. So I'm a big open source person. I like open source software and all that kind of stuff. And empathy based software design is like a big movement, kind of, and that's kind of where I borrowed that idea from.
That's cool. I like that.
Share the love, man. Share the love.
Yeah.
I like that concept.
There's enough for everybody. That's what I always say.
So another question I had. I see you went to that event, Buffalo, or at the Invention Convention.
Mm-hmm.
You go to a lot of events, obviously.
Right. Yeah.
What would you say your experiences with those events? Do you see a lot of sales from it, or is it more brand awareness? What do you take out of those events, and what advice do you have?
So I mean, we think about. It's funny, like for us, like originally when we were doing these type of events, we would think, what's the ROI of going to this event? Is it set? And usually the first thing we would talk about is sales. And what I'm learning is that it's not just sales. It's really about brand awareness, meeting people, talking to them, sharing the story that we're sharing with you guys, and people love that.
Yeah.
And it's really more about that.
And they know you're not a corporation, you're a local company, so they probably love that.
Yeah.
Have some fun.
Yeah, we were just sitting down with one of our advisors a few weeks ago who was like, get out there, go to more events, go to Wegmans, set up shop in here,
you
and
exist.
Yeah.
Anywhere kids go.
Whole Foods does events all the time that you can just go and talk to them about.
Yeah.
And just do stuff there. We did one for a company I was marketing for the other week. So
yeah,
you can find stuff anywhere. You just gotta go to the right place and ask. People are always cool. I'm down for it.
Yeah. Yes, if you guys ever hear of any events.
Yeah.
All right. Vice versa. Shit. Get out there.
Definitely.
So I guess, where do you guys see yourselves in 5 years?
Well, that's a big picture.
It is a big picture.
Well, right now our goal is to grow the subscription business, but we also want to get into schools. Mm-hmm. We picture one of these in every classroom.
Huge if you get this into a classroom.
We just got a statewide contract through BOCES, so we can potentially work with up to 700 school districts in the state.
Yeah.
And there's a similar program like this in every state. So in addition to that, the Kickstarter forced us to be a global company, so we had customers in 35 countries outside the U.S. So that's also made us think, how can we get outside the U.S.?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we're not quite there yet, but that's also on the back burner. But then you think about retail, working with distributors, children's museums, toy stores.
I'd love to see that. I was manager at Target. I'd love to see that on the shelf. Because they have like little toys and things that are kind of not that complex, but like little kid stuff where you're putting things together, but something more advanced for that middle age group. Solid. Yeah,
definitely. And just working on partnerships with companies like, I don't know, maybe Legos or the Marvel or Star Wars enterprises that make this more relatable to people.
Yeah.
Kind of bigger picture, like a very common thing that people tell us, and like this is the whole reason that I made this thing, was I wish this was there when I was a kid. So kind of flipping that idea around, like we want like future engineers and innovators to be able to say like, oh yeah, Thimble is the thing that I started with that got me into computers. Like that's the
most rewarding
kind of goal there.
Feeling, I'm sure, right?
And we've had interactions with customers where we weren't the sole reason. Well, let me tell you the story. So there was this woman who bought a subscription for her son. I think he was a senior when she did that, and then he ended up going to MIT. Now, he didn't get into MIT because of this,
right?
But I would like to think, like, if he had subscribed sooner, how cool would it be that someone who had no interest in any of this eventually falls in love with the subject and ends up going to a school like MIT or Stanford to pursue an education in engineering, and then beyond that ends up getting a really awesome job at Google, or maybe it's not even that, they spin off and do their own thing.
Yeah, and kind of hand in hand with that, like bigger picture, maybe even past 5 years, I think everyone has been saying that online education is going to change formal education and at least K through 12. And there's a lot of good things that are happening, but there's also like, I don't know, my school didn't have a computer science curriculum and still doesn't. There's not a nationwide like standard curriculum for computer science. There's an AP course, but it's still not adopted. I think only like 35 states even offer it at all. So like, I think there's a lot of changes that are going to happen, and hopefully we're part of those changes for the better.
Doing it at the right
Make it
time.
happen.
Yeah.
Watch, you're gonna go back in 5 years. You're gonna look at this, be like, oh,
Look at that.
I'm gonna be there. That's nothing. I'll wait
Way
past
past
that.
that.
Yeah, we saw these kids on Mars now.
Yeah. All right, awesome. Well, thanks for coming out.
Thank you.
I guess we'll catch you guys next week.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Money stacking up, talking trash, better back it up. I'ma make my money while they laugh at us.